from the Pacific to Roswell?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There till November.
November 30th, 46?
We got our orders back for Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
And we went back there, and that was our home to the 509th 1st Atomic Bomb Squadron.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And I was there in 47 when the UFO crashed outside of our gate. Okay. Well, I was there and never left for 10 years. I didn't leave Roswell. I got there in 45 and left in 56. So I was there a long time. But when this, in 1947, July of 47, when this UFO crashed outside of our gate, we didn't know about it for a couple of days. I mean, it was top secret and all of this. It was national security concerns about it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they had the 8th Air Force General from Fort Worth came up and took charge of the command and everything in the UFO incident. And he had Colonel Blanchard, who was our base commander and wing commander. He was his assistant, so they ran the whole show. And to start with, the rancher that lived on this large ranch, 30-something miles from the base gate, he raised cattle and sheep, very large herd. And so one day he and his son and his wife took care of the ranch, and they were out. I'm not sure whether they were riding their horses or their jeeps, but they were out near the area, and they found an area way out in their ranch that the cattle wouldn't go near. And they couldn't figure out, there's a lot of grass in there and everything, but they wouldn't go near it. So they got to looking around, they drove out into this area, and there was metal and all this junk where that thing disintegrated when it hit the ground. And he couldn't figure out what in the world was it. He couldn't read nothing on all it was in the language of their country, and he couldn't read it. So he picked up several big pieces of this UFO machine scattered all over 3 football fields wide, and he picked up some around, and he says, I don't know what to do with it. I got to find out why the cattle won't come over here and graze. So he took it and put it in the barn. The next day he decided he'd take it to the sheriff, and he did. And the sheriff called the military at the base and says he's got a load of stuff here from the crash site, and they come down and took all of that and demanded every piece that they were hiding and all of this and threatened them. And they got it all finally. So they took over, and well, when they went out there and looked at this, they found the 5 bodies that were in this spacecraft, and they killed all 5 of them.
Were they alive?
No, they were all dead.
Okay.
5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were 5 foot tall.
Okay. And
they were not humanoids.
Mm-hmm. They weren't humanoids? But
they weren't people from our country.
Right.
They were aliens or something,
mm-hmm.
different looks and everything, strange mm-hmm. appearances. I didn't see them, but my buddy did, because he dissected one of the bodies in the base hospital.
Okay.
And
what did he tell you about it?
Well, he didn't tell me nothing, because he shipped him out the next day.
Oh, wow, okay.
Right. He said I can't talk about it. They're going to kill me if I do.
Mm-hmm. Where did he get shipped to?
Yeah. So they finally, one day, well, that is about the 3rd or 4th day, the general said we're going to go out and inspect the ranch and pick up all of the debris that's unnatural. And we've already got the 5 bodies there in the hospital, and they've been frozen. And he said he put out the order on the base the next day, and they want 500 soldiers ASAP in the morning at 7 o'clock to go to the crash site. Well, they come running to my airplane. I had about 12 crew members on my ground crew, and they said, Milt, we got to have 4 of your crew. I said, man, not again. Yep, we got to have 4. You got to have them now. I'll take them right now. And you have to stay, and your assistant crew chief, in case you have to fly this airplane, got to have the crew that can launch it and get it off okay, and you stay. But I need 4 of them to go out there and work all day. So he picked 4 of my men, and they went out. They took them buses and trucks and everything, transportation, and they got them all out there, and they lined these 500 men up down this 3-football field area and told them, he said they were 4 or 5 foot apart, and he said, I want you to march through this area, and they had things to pick up metal and all of this with them, and they had bags and they had trucks and everything, and said, I want you to pick up everything unnatural and don't leave anything. And if you find any bones or parts of a body, pick them up too. Well, they found out later they wouldn't be any parts of bodies because they were intact. They didn't lose any parts or bodies of the bodies. And so they picked this all up, and they got about 2 truckloads of debris, and the biggest was about a foot and a half. Biggest piece was about a foot and a half. And I can just tell you now, at this point, early in it, I read a book later that they determined that lightning struck that UFO and caused it to crash there. And that's why when it hit so hard, it disintegrated totally. And I think 2 of the bodies were in the cabin of the UFO, and 3 of them were thrown out on the ground. They got all 5 bodies on it. So when they picked up all of this stuff, the current general says, we're going to march you to the other end of this field and march the other way because we want to be sure we've got everything that came off this airplane, this UFO flying object, they called it. And so they did that again, and they got another about a half a truckload then. So they moved the sign. Their sign was out there at the ranch gate at his boundary line, and had a big sign, this is the crash site, you know. Somebody put it up there, I guess the news media or something, so they could find it. Well, they moved that sign 5 miles down the dirt road and got permission from a rancher down there to show them where and say, this is the ranch site where it crashed. And now, even today, all those buses, hundreds of them, every day go out there to see the crash site, and they go 5 miles past the site to another site and show them the whole field.
Really? So they go to the wrong place.
Right. It's the wrong place. So the newspapers come out in Roswell and printed, says UFO captured by the military or something like that. And boy, they got into that, and they recalled all the newspapers, and I think I've heard they burned them and got most of them, but they still missed some of them. And they denied everything, and they had a big to-do there and called the reporters out and said, no, this wasn't a UFO that crashed here. It was a weather balloon fell. Well, I said, I wasn't a weather balloon because I've worked around them, and I know what they look like.
Right.
And so that's what they kept telling everybody. They'd tell everybody, oh, that's a weather balloon. They knew UFO crashed here. So they still believe that today.
I know. I hear that. I hear that frequently. So why do you think it is that they felt the need to cover this up and keep it?
Because of national defense. Because they can shoot down all of the satellites, all of the airplanes, everything.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do about it?
Right.
Right. That's why.
Yeah.
And they've never said a word about where they're from or anything. You know, right then, a news reporter says, oh, I think they're from Russia. And they called Russia and checked it out. Russia said, we never heard of them, of that incident, and we know nothing about it, but they damn sure wasn't from Russia.
Did you ever hear about any specifics about the material that the craft was made of, or what the craft was like?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that from some of the guys that worked with it and were there at Roswell. I knew a lot of them in intelligence and other divisions that were concerned with it, and they'd take this, a piece of that metal is about 12 inches in diameter, and you could take it, and it was flat when you lay it down, and you can put it in your hands, both hands, and wad it up. It was that flexible into a ball, and they used to do that a lot and show us that. Then they lay it on the table or something, and it smooths out again, no wrinkles or nothing. And they tried to cut it and burn it and tear it and do everything, but it was of a metal they'd never heard of, and nobody knew what it was.
Was it really light, thin?
Lightweight, sure.
Lightweight,
yeah.
Thin?
Wow.
Where is all that material now?
Well, I've heard a lot of stories that nobody really knows. I haven't talked to anybody that really seen it or knows, but most people that I know is in Roswell now and says, we think it was shipped to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio.
In Ohio, huh?
But they claim we've had people check it out and call them. They said, we never heard of that.
Well, of course.
Nothing but a weather balloon crashed out in Roswell.
That's, I think it's crazy that they still tell that to this day. When people were there were people there that knew. That
I know it, but they still dispute it all.
Well, that's what else? What else memorable can you think of? Did you get to hear any details about the bodies themselves, or what you said your friend?
Well, just 5 foot tall.
That's it.
My buddy ran a funeral home in Roswell, and the military went down there and wanted 5 children's caskets, and he said, I only keep 1 or 2 small caskets here, and I have 2. They said, we have to have 5, so they left. They got them somewhere else. But he told me that later.
Why would they put the bodies in caskets if they were going to freeze them? Why would they put those bodies? Why would they want caskets?
Well, I don't know. That don't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense because they froze them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course. They're not going to bury them. Yeah, that's odd. Well, do you know of any other incidents like that that have come to light that any other friends of yours have talked about that have happened?
No.
Covered up?
All my friends are dead. They were there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anything
That's
else?
if they wait another few years, all of us will be dead. There won't be nobody living that was there.
Yeah. Well, is it that was the base that you were on? I mean, did they come in? They just came in basically and told you the cover-up story that it was the balloon, and so that.
Well, the general and the colonel, who was the base commander, put that story out with the news.
Right.
Right.
Was there ever any conversation or ever any orders to all of you guys that were on the base to not talk about it?
Well, at times, some of my friends were told to shut up, or else we're going to take action against you and your family.
Yeah, wow.
They told them that, so they didn't say another word.
Oh, I guess not.
My brother-in-law was part of one of those things, and they told him, and he never said a word till the day he died.
Well, I don't think I could blame him.
No,
for that.
He knew they meant business.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. All right, well that's I don't think I have any more questions on that. Then that's pretty interesting stuff, Milton.